Welcome back. It's time to turn on dark mode. We're here to talk about working in
Nope,
IT.
not today. We don't got time for none of that. We got too much to talk about. We got news.
You're just gonna interrupt me like that?
Yeah, sorry. We don't talk about nothing but this stuff on the agenda today. Mixer is canceled. Did you hear?
Yeah. Oh, did I? Okay. Yeah. Keep going. Keep
Mixer's
going.
canceled. Facebook Gaming took over. Apple had their WWDC, so they announced stuff like iOS 14 and macOS news, among other things. Avengers gameplay, which is Avengers the final title. That's all it's called.
It's just called Avengers.
All right, crazy. I'm gonna get it now. I saw some gameplay. That shit looks dope. Cyberpunk 2077. We already were both sold on that, but that's also got more stuff that we saw today, and that looks pretty dope. And then finally, The Last of Us 2. I played it, grinded it out in a week, and I got some things to say. So stick around to the end of the episode to hear that.
Whew.
That being said, this episode will be thick with two C's. Yep. Yeah, you know. So what's that, Gibbs? Nah, I ain't got time for you right now.
Dude, Gibbs, shut up. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be game heavy.
Well, we got some technology in there.
Nah, fuck Apple.
But
All right, let's get going on
Mixer.
All right,
hit me.
Let's roll our sleeves here. We're diving deep. Facebook's just like, we can't beat them. We want to get in the game industry. Not even the game industry. We're in the streaming industry. So let's just buy them out. I mean, kind of a smart move, I guess, but they're investing a lot. Like, Mixer, I mean, it's good timing if you look at it. Mixer made all these contractual moves, acquired two huge streamers, and then Facebook's like, yo, thanks for doing the heavy lifting. Here's a fat wad and shut up and sit in the corner.
Yeah, they gave him like, it was like 9 or 10 months or something like that. Like Shroud was on Mixer, and I think Ninja was a little bit longer. I don't really remember, but like it wasn't a full year yet. So
yeah, and you would think after doing like this hefty purchase, right, and like it's a big news, like it's done. You would think going to your Facebook page, which I haven't been. Hear me out. I have not been on Facebook on my computer, like on a web page, for forever. Like can't remember the last time I like actually looked.
You opening it up now? This is the first time in ages.
Ages. But you would think like it would be easily accessible somewhere on your home screen. Nah, this shit's like hidden in the Explore tab on your left nav. You have to hit See More and scroll to the bottom, and it's called Gaming Video.
Okay, like, that's already an L. Like,
yeah, how much of a boomer terminology is that?
But hold on, do they have like any sort of like banner, like, oh, this is new, like this is happening?
Not that I saw on mine. And it's weird because they would like probably see me and be like, yo, this, because they got all the data analytics on everyone. They'd be like, yo, this guy slaps video games. Like, he wants all the information. I didn't see a single notification for it. I'm literally tied to our Dark Mode podcast. Like,
yeah, it's like all gaming technology, all that stuff.
So either way, so I'm already having these gut reactions of like, this is stupid, such an L. But then I actually get on the site and I'm like, okay, I see what they were doing, and I see what they're trying to like corner, right? They make it really easy for you if you already have a Mixer account. Doing the transfer over is pretty seamless. You literally just log on and it gets converted over.
Okay.
The main beef I have with it, and there's plenty of them, but is it's just a reskin of Facebook. Like, they didn't do anything special for this.
Yeah, I saw the UI and I was kind of like, I don't know. But they do have a mobile app, right? Although it's
well,
I don't think it's on iOS.
Hear me out.
It's on Apple or
it's not Android. On iOS, which Apple can. We already talked about that, but basically, I logged the reason why I had to go to the web is because I first wanted to look at it on my Facebook. Like, I went to Facebook video thinking like maybe there'd be a pop-up of somebody streaming live, or they would incorporate it there. I figured that was the smartest way to incorporate it. No, they don't have it. Like, they still have like gaming videos within the Facebook videos feed, but then it's not like tied to like their streamer or their profiles or anything. Like, there's no easy way to get there. Nor is there like a really defined way of noticing someone's profile being just somebody that posts videos or streams videos. So then you have to go to like that, what I said, where you go to See More, Explore, and you go to the gaming videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like let's get you started, let's get your profile set up, but it's not towards like let's just look at streams. It's like assuming you're coming here to set up a streamer profile and like actually
Oh, so
stream.
it's not really like checking you out like you could be a viewer.
Not at first, like that wasn't my initial like QA mindset of going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, I want to look, discover, and it's like check out our app. And it's like I don't know why it like maybe developing it's a different story, but like just incorporate it in the app that you already have billions of people installed on their phones. Like,
Yeah,
why are you
like
making them?
YouTube did that for a while. Like I'm pretty sure YouTube gaming was a section in their YouTube app, but then they took it out later just because like it probably bogged down like it was making the YouTube app bigger for, and a lot of people weren't watching um that stuff. Like just like an average person might not be watching that, so they took it out and made it separate. But I don't
Yeah,
know. It's interesting. Like I did check it out way back when Facebook gaming, like we talked about it in another episode and we were just laughing about it. But like I checked it out and I was like, dude, this really isn't it. Like I don't know how this is gonna take off. But then now they're forcing their way in there, similar to how like Epic Games did. Just
kind of.
buying stuff. But I'm a little bit like my favorite streamer on Twitch used to be King Ithalian. I used to just like watch all the Destiny stuff, and or I shouldn't say he was my favorite. He was one of my favorites because I would really only watch him for Destiny. Um, I would go to other streamers for different stuff. But once he hopped over to Mixer, I kind of stopped watching just because like he was like the one streamer that wasn't on Twitch that I watched. And then now he has said again he is making the switch to Facebook gaming, and I think his mission for it is warranted. Like he just feels like with it having like a smaller community or something, like he can give a more personalized approach and like not get swallowed up by just the mess that is YouTube or well Facebook gaming and Mixer. Or I'm screwing up the mess that is Twitch. And I don't know. I can't really vouch for that because I don't stream yet, but I'm probably not going to be watching him just because
Yeah,
like I have to go to Facebook to hop in and see him. And plus Facebook doesn't have any sort of like anonymity yet. Like you don't get a username. I'm just Taylor Floyd Muse online. Like, and to some people, they don't want to do that,
it's a
especially
little
when they're,
close to home.
yeah. But also like gamers don't go online with their full name. So like, why would you have the streaming do the same when no other one does that? So
Yeah, and another thing, I mean, and then here's another thing that made me kind of like rethink my gut opinion of it.
mhm.
They also have these tournaments. They have these live esports that are really easy for either younger generations or even hell our generation to understand how to get involved in esports.
Okay.
Maybe sign up to become part of a tournament for a game you like. They make it very easy for maybe younger generation people just getting into it to find a lane and either get started pretty basic. It might be a shitty stream, but they could start like immediately if they wanted to.
Yeah.
um so that's kind of interesting and cool, but then again I'm like then it's going to bog down their variety. It's going to be a bunch of novice people playing randomly. I don't think people are going to truly get a cool community that they want.
Hmm.
They might, I don't know, but you would think after a massive buyout like this, again, I found my way to the page, but now that I'm on the page, you should be all the streamers that agreed to switch over like King Ithalian, advertise the shit out of them on your homepage. Nah, you come here and you have some random Stone Mountain 64 playing Call of Duty with 9,000 viewers, which I mean, okay, cool, but really they have two other suggestions for you that have 1,000 each. That's it, viewers.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it's like some random girl playing Animal Crossing I've never heard of. You got a dude where his thing is Yajid Gaming, and it's in his like title is shh. Why am I gonna watch? I don't even know what game he's playing.
no, I think this is kind of like what they mean by like they try to put the focus on smaller streamers because they like they don't want to just like focus on the top tier, like the 1% of the streamers essentially. But like by the same token, those bigger streamers that may come to Facebook Gaming might not get advertised at all. But like, I guess they haven't really come over yet. Like King Italian is the first, but it isn't a Ninja or a Shroud. And Mixer had that, right? And when you typed in mixer.com, or well, Google search Mixer, you know how like Google gives you those subcategories on your search result? They straight up just said like Mixer slash Shroud and like Mixer slash Ninja. Like they put their biggest dudes on there. And then when you go to the Mixer homepage, they are there, but then they also highlight all the other like not as big streamers. So like I guess they had a little bit more of a balance, but like, yeah, it sounds like Facebook Gaming hasn't really made the full transition yet. So,
No.
and I don't,
And
I
I
don't know.
really,
I'm skeptical.
the thing is you can tell that they aren't putting much skin in the game. They bottom out and they didn't put any effort into their UI. Like they put zero effort into their UI. They just templated their own formula and said it'll probably work. There are so many UI things that people are particular about that watch streamers, because half the fun is being a part of the chat, and the other half is you better have a dark mode theme.
Dark
And like
mode.
it, I don't know. I'm skeptical, and also I don't feel bad for Ninja. I don't feel bad for Shroud. At first, I thought I would, but you know what? They made the hop, and then they were like, "Yeah, this is just." They made these announcements. They're like, "Oh, I'm just really upset that the Mixer community that we built is gone. I got some tough decisions ahead of me." I'm like, "Tough decision? You just got paid $20 million. You are chilling. You'll probably go to Twitch. We all probably know that. You might look for a contract, and if I was Twitch, I'd say no. You can go to YouTube Gaming if you want."
Dang, you better be
And
savage.
dude, I don't like when you get paid $20 million as a buyout. I'm not upset. There's plenty other streamers, and I don't think Ninja does anything that
No, I just
out
meant
of the
from like
box.
the Twitch part, just being like, nah, go to YouTube. Like we don't want
If
you
I
back.
was a Twitch executive, I would do that, like, because it was such a big thing when Ninja did that.
But I mean,
And
if they get him back though, that would essentially solidify Twitch's like stability. That would just be like, yeah, we never left. We're still here. Like nobody's really gonna take away from us.
I would argue that they would end up paying more money for something that they don't need to stabilize. I think Twitch is doing just fine, and I think they've proven in the last year that they had major streamers leave, and they performed almost at the exact same rate. Like
Yeah, that's fair.
like they Twitch, sometimes they either are doing really good at pleasing their community, and sometimes they shit on their community, but like either way, even with the tough competition and the competition trying to make huge moves, they stay the most. I think they're the most consistent. And I mean, unless like Dr. Disrespect leaves them, I don't think that they need to worry about
Dude, Doc
stabilization.
isn't going nowhere. He has been adamant from the day one that people started leaving. He was like, we ain't going nowhere, baby. I was watching his stream, and when he heard about the whole Mixer thing, he was like, talking about playing with Shroud, and he was like, yeah, so when Shroud comes back on Twitch, I'll be playing with you. And then like everybody was just like, dang, he didn't do that. So
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
And if I was an exec looking at like Ninja, let's say, just because he's such an easy example for this,
Mm-hmm.
he just had a major buyout, and if he came to Twitch and is like, "Hey, what are you guys going to offer me?" Like as if he's a free agent. Honestly, if you look at his video content compared to what some other streamers do to formalize a community and like to be entertaining, I mean, he's a good gamer and he probably provides a lot of good gaming content. But like outside of that, I think most of the streamers that are already on Twitch provide enough of that. Like I don't think I think he was like special in the move to Mixer, like a special talent. But like now it's just like if you look for a contract, that's the wrong method. You should just look for a platform again, because I don't think Twitch is going to pay him money to come back to Twitch.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't even think they really need to, because like you said, they what am I trying to say? They don't need to pay him to have him come back, but like there's no other options for them really. Like I don't think
Like
YouTube
YouTube
gaming
Gaming, that's it,
that's not really like the move. So
or start your own website.
they could. I mean, like I remember I was telling you how like PewDiePie was streaming exclusively on. Well, I thought it was D-Link, but it's D Live or something. Like literally nobody was on that platform, and then it's just PewDiePie.
Yep. I don't know. And whatever he decides, I'm sure it'll be all over IGN and everyone will make a big deal out of it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like at this point, I think there are way better talent that could like easily use the spotlight
Mm-hmm.
than some dude that's been hopping around getting paid a shit ton of money and is drinking a ton of Red Bull.
Well, I mean, we
I'm,
got
I'm
him
obviously
drinking Red
super
Bull.
critical of Ninja, but I'm just
You love to hate on the big boys. Like you don't
yeah,
like Drake, you don't like Ninja. Like you got like a movie director that everybody loves that you like to hate on.
dude. Michael Bay's trash.
Michael Bay, everybody hates on him, dude. Like he's like universally disliked. I shouldn't say hate because I did like some of the Transformer movies, right? But like he's kind of out there. But like, is there one that's like critically acclaimed or not? I shouldn't say critically acclaimed, but like is very popular, and then you kind of just like I don't see it.
Sometimes Judd Apatow,
I
to be
don't know who
honest.
that is, but what's a movie that he made?
Knocked Up, plenty of
Oh, okay, like
like
comedies and
yeah,
like
he
the
does a lot of
dramedy.
comedies. I like him as a comedian. I think he's a really good comedy writer, but I think lately a lot of his movies have like gone downhill. He did like Funny People, pretty sure, but I think
Oh yeah, I saw the trailer for that.
he did King of Staten Island's coming out. It
I
actually looks like
do
a
kind of want to watch that one. But like now that you've listed these movies though, I'm like, wait a minute. I see the central theme in these movies, like the way that they're directed. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I can understand why you might not like that.
my thing with Judd Apatow is I think he hit a good few movies that I thought he did really well,
Hmm.
but I also think like I think as the more movies he comes out with, the more I'm like, okay, dude, like you're just copy and pasting. Like,
That's fair.
and I don't want to shit on him because I actually like respect his work and all, but like I think if that would be one director that people would be surprised that I'm not like a huge fan of.
Okay.
But
All right. We got to keep this pace going. We're going straight into the iOS 14, Mac OS stuff. Well, actually, technically, this is WWDC. I actually watched all of it because they related to like work stuff. Like I needed to know like actual developer stuff now. So like that's a first for me, which was cool. But uh you're over there, yeah, you're giving the thumbs down and the fart noises and everything, and I
I didn't even know
understand.
that was going on. Like when you were messaging me, like, "Yo,
Well, like
widgets
there's
are
no
back."
reason for you to know. You don't have an iPhone and you don't need to do that at work. So it's like there's zero reason for you to watch it. Same way that like I don't really watch the Android stuff or I haven't in the past because I don't have one anymore and I didn't need to for work. So
Fair, fair.
and also like I mean as people don't like Apple, right? Like some people don't like them, but you got to admit their keynotes are pretty like engaging and like good production quality. Like I've
Yeah.
watched a Google keynote and I was like, dude, what the hell is this? I was like, I just don't feel it. Like you're telling me good information, but I'm just not invested.
Yeah, I mean, there's no denying that Apple can put on the show, and it's. I mean, I would hope they could. I'm sure their budgets are crazy how much they
Oh,
charge people. So
I mean, dude, they showed like now that they have Apple Park, it's just them showing it off the whole time, like drone footage going through the buildings and stuff, and showing a big old circle space looking ship thing. I don't know, it's crazy, but either way, I am excited for something that you as an Android user are going to be like, we've had it forever, and I used to have it, and it's the one feature that I missed when I left Android, and I still kind of miss a little bit. We're finally getting the home screen widgets. So you can put a widget in the middle of your home screen.
welcome to 2012. So, but they gotta admit they're pretty ugly as far as widgets go.
No, they're not. I would disagree with that 100%. Android widgets are always so clunky and non conforming. Like any widget looks vastly different from another. They're setting this kind of like standard where like all widgets are going to be within this frame. So when you put it on the home screen, it looks neat. You can even stack them and have them swap. I don't remember being able to do that when I was on Android. They might have added it now in different OSs because it's been, I think, like 4 or 5 years since I swapped, but
I mean, they have dimensions, so you see how big the widget is, but it's usually like 2 by 2, or like the Spotify one's kind of long. That's the only one I really utilize is the Spotify widget.
yeah,
So
but like I guess what I'm saying is I know you can resize them. I did that. I'm just saying there is no standard that is set across them. So you could get a Spotify thing and then a weather thing, and they just don't look good next to each other. They look like shit. But then you get this, and you're going to have a Spotify one and a weather one, and they're going to look the same just with the themes of that app. So, like, I think that looks like aesthetically more pleasing. And I mean, Apple, they do all the whole aesthetics, and some people hate it, some people like it. I have my problems in certain areas, but in this area, I kind of think it's going to look nice.
I just forgot how much like applications, apps, and like stuff on your phone takes up your entire, like, compared to like a Pixel where you have the app library, which they were showing off, that you can
Yeah.
store your apps or automatically. But on Androids, you swipe up, you see all your apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then I organize mine in folders, but at the same time, like, here, I'm gonna do a little show and tell here. Like, it still doesn't take up my entire screen, right?
Yeah.
But I forgot that like iPhones is like apps. They're
Yeah.
in your face.
Yeah.
You download something, there is nowhere else for that to go. It is on your screen. And I was like, wow, I don't miss that at all. Like,
That's fair.
I like having a wallpaper, and I like not having to like swipe through and find the app, or now that you have widgets, you're gonna take up more space, so all your apps are gonna go over. Or maybe the app library is the automatic place they go, and then you
No,
can
like
try them out.
you have described the problem that they literally have solved. The app library is the app drawer. It's just
Okay.
not called the app drawer. So
Okay.
like this is why like I made that news post on our Instagram, and I was basically like I was leaning into the flack that we were gonna get. I was basically like iOS is edging closer and closing the gap on Android. Like not in the sense that like, oh, we're gonna surpass, but it's just like, okay, now I can actually organize my home screen. Like the organization of the phone was my biggest gripe leaving it. The thing that really made me go over though, like after like in the app support, I've talked about that. Like I felt like that was better. But once they had third party keyboards supported, so I didn't have to use their crap keyboard, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like I think I like it. But then I did miss the app organization just because yeah, you just got apps on apps everywhere. But now you can choose to hide that. So where I'll put my widgets on the home screen with a couple of my most used apps. And then maybe I have a second page that's like, oh, the rest of the apps that I'm going to use regularly. And then now I don't know where positionally it is. If it's on the end of like the right side of the last page, that's where
Okay.
the app drawer is. Because they can't do a swipe up because the notchless phones, you swipe up for control center. So
Yeah.
I was thinking what they should do, and maybe they do this, I don't know. Uh, it should replace the left side of the home screen where the widgets go right now. Like you should put it there because then like it's always going to be right next to your home screen. You don't have to scroll to the end of your pages to get to it. But I don't
Maybe.
know. We'll see. At least I don't have to mess with like just garbage apps everywhere.
I'll say two things that entice me. Okay. I think that they're making good strides on their messaging platform. They're making it more and more the reason to switch over to join the friends, to be a part of the group chats that are with iMessage, and the whole having your dashboard view of your messages.
Yeah, like you can pin people so we're like
That
your
that's
favorites.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And also the mentions is pretty interesting because it's kind of like you're almost slacking people within group chats.
They're
Uh,
basically trying to like I actually wouldn't argue Slack. I would say they're trying to take on like WhatsApp and Messenger because
that's
those are
fair.
the apps that you would go for socializing if you don't have an iMessage. Like that's like the closest thing. So now they got like the inline replies and the mentions that you're talking about, and that is available on Slack, but Slack is more of like a business tool usually. So
Yeah. Now here's the biggest thing that's going to shock you, and I've been waiting to tell you this part. Okay.
okay, all right, I'm ready.
if if I had a car that supported CarPlay, I would be switching over to iPhone. I kind of forgot about how much I wanted to have CarPlay integration.
But wait, you know you have Android Auto though, right?
Yeah, I know, but like at the same time, the I don't know, just the seeing CarPlay again and the all the cool things you can do within that oh shit, knocked my mic.
Oh, you getting
But
excited?
I'm just saying that like I think it looks a little crisper. I think it looks I kind of forgot about that integration. And if I had a CarPlay car, I would be tempted to go to iOS just for the messaging and that full integration. I don't know too much about Android. I know that Android has like a similar thing, but
Let me play devil's advocate here though,
okay.
because like coming from you saying that you like Android, like it's like functional, right? Like it's all about doing stuff. It's not really too much about the aesthetic. It's just about getting stuff done and having like freedom to do what you want. Uh you're saying that you like the crispiness and the aesthetic of the like the CarPlay, but like they pretty much do the same thing. Like if you got a phone or a car that had like I don't know what you call this, like driving OS, we'll call it, the Android one will do the same thing. So like are you sure you would want to switch everything just because of what you would do sometimes? Because you're going to spend more time using the car outside of the or excuse me, using the
Thank
phone
you know
outside of
what?
the car.
You know what? Thanks for playing devil's advocate because you're right. I'm out of my head. You know, just a little
Because
caught up in the
I don't
feature.
want you to get an iPhone and then now you're just complaining like, what is this trash? But then you get in the car, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so nice, and you just like never leave the car.
That's fair. Um, but I mean, when I was looking through it, there wasn't very much like the widgets. Yeah, I mean that's cool. But yeah, if you are an Android, like this update isn't for people switching from Android. Like, in my opinion, nothing in here is gonna be like,
Well,
"Ooh, I should switch from Android to
I don't know
iPhone."
about that. Like, okay, wait, let me say this. It's not going to make someone who is a diehard Android fan want to switch, but those people that are riding the fence that are kind of like, "Oh, iOS looks nice, but I don't know. Like I'm going to miss this." Like I said, they're closing the gap and I feel like more people will swap. But like those people that are basically just like Apple's trash, like I burn it with fire, I don't know. Those people are never gonna switch. But the
Yeah,
funny thing is, I was one of those people 6 years ago, and then I tried out an iPhone, and I
you
was kind of
swap.
like, I don't know. And then after about like 3 or 4 months using someone else's phone, I was kind of like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. So you never know.
Yeah, and we swapped.
Yeah, because like you had the iPhone and you were the diehard iPhone, and then you swapped. But I don't know.
I don't think I was ever diehard. I just like the MacBook integration with the iPhone. Like that was like the only thing tying to me. And then when my MacBook became a brick,
You,
I mean, there was like no use for my iPhone.
yeah.
But I will say my family is definitely pissed off. Still are.
Still.
Still are. Because they literally all switched to Apple because of me. So that's yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Well, you
But
really just bait and switched on them, huh?
a little bit, a little bit. But I will say the Mac OS.
Well, hold on. Before we go to the Mac OS, there's one last thing that is like another Android kind of relation that I'm really pumped for, and it is long overdue, and that is a banner incoming call screen.
Oh yeah, when I saw that, I was like, "You guys still don't have that?"
Yeah, yeah.
I was
I
like,
mean, dude, listen to this. iOS just got a non-intrusive volume rocker like last year. Like it was still in the middle of the screen, right? To the point where like apps had to put in their own volume rocker to like get it out of the way. Like Instagram, because it would go right in the middle of the video when you're trying to do the rocker. So like they were like, okay, we're gonna make our own and it's up top. But then yeah. So they always are slow to some updates like that. But I think at this point, this is kind of like where we've caught up enough where like there's nothing where I'm like, okay, we're still waiting on. Like and it's a big problem, you know?
and I'll say your guys' app integration and support is definitely superior. There's really no arguing with that, especially when Snapchat literally just takes a screen capture of what
I
your
can't
camera.
believe that, dude. It's just a screenshot. It doesn't even use your camera quality. Dang.
Okay, but can we talk about Big Sur?
Yeah, Big Sir. All right, sir. What you want to talk about?
Big
What
Sur.
do
Can
you
we talk
feel about
about
this one?
awkward? can we talk about how awkward? So talk about a good keynote. Talk about a bad keynote presenter coming in going, "Okay, we got our crack team on a drug trip looking at these
Like,
names."
and you guys might think that he's exaggerating, but like that wasn't far off of like what he said. Like, I don't know if he was trying to make a joke, but
His
he was
quote was literally
basically,
like, "Our crack team came up with a new naming convention on a drug trip or something like that." I can't remember what,
and I'm
but
like, who, dude? Just tell me the name of the thing.
it was him trying to be funny, I guess. Like somebody probably wrote it for him, and he just deadpanned it, and they don't have an audience to chuckle behind. Like it was awkward.
Yeah,
Aqua taco.
I'll go taco.
Um,
What do you
but you go
think
ahead.
though?
I
Oh, you want me
I'll
to go ahead?
well, I'll tell you what I think.
Okay, go ahead.
It doesn't change my opinion that I'm always tempted to go back to buy a MacBook. But will I actually do it? No. And will this sell me to do it? No. Because ultimately, I don't need a MacBook anymore. I'm not in college. My
What is
work
the
provides
college the
me.
prerequisite?
Well, I don't use a laptop anymore. There's literally no precedent for me to use a laptop. And
But what about a
also, my
desktop?
work. What?
What about a desktop though? They have iMacs.
What do you think? I'm rich? Like, no, I don't need a cheese grater. I'm.
No, not a Mac Pro, dude. I'm talking about an iMac.
Yeah, those are so expensive. I'm not like. Okay, if we get really, hey, you know what, guys? If we hit 10,000 subscribers,
No, that isn't gonna provide you with enough to get that.
well, then we're going to be doing all kinds of editing. We'll need an iMac. But basically, I mean, I'm always tempted to get a laptop again. But I honestly, at this point, I don't know if I would actually get a MacBook. It just seems like it's just so expensive
Mm-hmm.
for something that I know I'm not going to use regularly at all. Because my work provides me a laptop, and my work might even provide me a MacBook eventually, and it'll be a work laptop. So to me, it's like if I'm going to spend, 1,300 on something, I could just do a small stream build PC, or I could upgrade my PC. I could buy PS5. I could buy two PS5s. Maybe we don't know the pricing yet, but when I think through all those different things I could use that for, I'm just like I think the MacBook would just come an accessory, and it might be like, oh, I'm going to go on a weekend trip, so now I can play League remotely. Like I don't. It's not a
Well, if you would want to do that, like you would also want to get like a higher spec version, not the one that's $1,300. So,
right.
and you know how they are, like they overprice their upgrades. Like that's where I kind of like, I don't really care so much for how they do their tiering, but
Well, then you get the MacBook, and then it's like, okay, but also you have to spend $90 so you get all the adapters you need.
true, because that I don't know, like, but Windows computers are also moving towards that. So like that's not just an Apple thing. Like if you go and you want to get like the Dell XPS, like it has like one USB port, but then it also like USB normal, but then it has like USB Cs and other miscellaneous stuff. Like they're
Yeah,
moving towards less ports.
yeah, but also Apple's infamous for the Lightning port that is specific to Apple products, so you have to buy specifically their adapters.
Yeah, but that's for the phone. So like let's say you don't have an iPhone, you don't need to mess with the Lightning cord. It's USB-C.
I know. I'm just saying that if you were having that integration, it would just be more. Either way,
It is
usually when you,
dumb. It is
yeah,
dumb. The dongle city that you gotta
that's
buy.
why I was trying to get. I'm like, I don't know why you're arguing with me. It's dumb. It's still dumb logic. But I had
But
the same thing.
I'm just saying that's not exclusive to MacBooks. The dumb dongle thing is here across all laptops, it feels like.
Yeah, but less so on Windows.
Yeah, less so, but if you're looking for an ultra book, which is pretty much all Mac makes, there most of them, like 90% of them are just like portless, it seems. Like you're
Yeah,
gone are the days where you have like an Ethernet cord or an Ethernet port,
yeah,
a HDMI, an SD, a headphone jack, like a USB or three, and like all that shit. It's gone.
yeah. That's valid. Just don't. You know what? I'm used to the headphone jack, so I guess I'll get used to this new era of it. So I thought
Yeah,
that was gonna be ridiculous, and then that turned out to be just fine. Like,
Bluetooth's the way to go. I mean, like I don't like wires anymore. I'm using wired headphones for this, but like that's just because like I'm sitting down. Like when you're out and about, like I it's really annoying to have wires. And then plus like running with headphones, like I can't believe I used to do that with wires. Like
Dude, I even struggle with any type of headphones while running if they're not over ear. Like if they're like buds, like I'll be running like hit like half a mile and then I'm just like
Well, you got tiny ass ears, so I think that I think that might be why. Oh man! All right, but Mac
okay,
OS, Big
okay.
Sur, the they like completely revamped it, not to the point where like okay, we started from the ground up, but like you know how Mac OS has been on 10 for like almost 2 decades. Like it's been Mac OS X for like 19 years. They finally have now made it 11.0. Like I don't know what made them want to
I didn't
change.
notice that, but okay.
Yeah, like Mac OS has been on 10 for like 19 years. And then now they have finally decided to make it 11. I don't know why this one warrants it, but like it doesn't look like completely changed, but they've made a couple of nice improvements. Like you could customize the status bar on the top or the menu bar.
But you just said revamped.
Huh?
You're like it didn't change that much, but before you're like it's completely revamped.
Yeah, like I'm using their words, so I'm like making fun of them.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay,
it's been completely revamped, but it doesn't look that much different.
okay. Sorry.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like, and maybe not even this much, but you know how like Windows, well, actually, yeah, Windows 8 to Windows 10 functionality was hugely changed, but the
Yeah,
UI didn't look that much different. It's kind of
that's true.
like that.
Yeah,
So like,
Windows 8 was garbage.
oh, yes, it was. Um, but yeah, so like they updated the menu bar, so where like they have a control center now, kind of like what you have on iOS, but you can like drag certain settings to it, so you can basically make your menu bar what you want it to be, which I think is really cool because sometimes my menu bar is like real cluttered and it's like I don't even want half this shit in there. Like,
Especially if you get like extensions or
yeah.
something that you don't use.
So I think they'll add ways to clean that up. Then this is where the UI changes do. They literally called it a lighter window appearance. So like they added this translucency effect that you can have. So you can like your background will like cause your windows to be colored, not like make a color of the top bar like Windows does. It's just like you get this level of translucency that just I don't know, it adds flair. I thought it looked kind of nice, but it wasn't just like, oh yeah, like let me get that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
um this part's I kind of think is weird. They did new icons for apps, but then they made it so where all of them are like they look like little squares like what the apps on the phone do. So like I think third party apps are going to have to like fit in that bound, which is a little strange because now like you're going to look at your dock and it's going to be all kind of like eh.
yeah, that might not look. Well, I'm curious to see how it
Yeah.
goes, but
We'll see, because I think with like the widgets I was mentioning before, that sort of conformity was nice for like something that's large, but for just like a small icon, you can't really look super ugly in a small piece. Like, I mean, you could find a way, but like
I mean,
when
you know
apps
me.
have different shapes, I think that looks cool. So, um, but yeah, I think the coolest part though, because like there's a lot of like behind the scenes things that have been going on here, because like being a whole like computer operating system, I'm not diving into all of that, but the coolest thing is you can now run iPhone apps on the Mac. Like just download an iPhone app and it just runs on the Mac, like in a small phone shaped window, similar to how like if you're a developer on a Mac, you have Xcode and you can run a simulator. Like you just run the app. So I'm curious to see if that means like, oh, I could just like run Snapchat on my computer. So like, okay, I'm on my computer, my phone's across the room, and somebody snaps me. And it's like, oh, like I could actually respond on my Mac with my webcam because the Mac works on that phone. App.
That's pretty cool. I wonder how much updating is going to require
Now
per
that's what
application.
first question I was thinking. Now this is what they said. They were like, we want to make these work in the instance that like it just works. Like their whole thing is like you just download it and it just works. So like it might be like emulation. So that's where I am. That's why like my question about Snapchat working, because that has to interact with the hardware of the Mac. So that would require extra coding, right? But let's say you want to play a game like Monument Valley is the one they showed, and you're just on your Mac. You can just download it to your Mac and just start playing it because that doesn't require any sort of outside sources, you know?
Yeah, here's the thing. Us, being QA, bringing it back to IT. When developers and executives go, it should just work. Chances are it does not work, and chances are there's gonna be bug fixes. I'm not saying like when it gets released it won't work, but I guarantee you there's gonna be apps that are like, yeah, we need some time. Like,
Well,
yeah, we need to
let
update.
me say this though. I've seen emulator apps like BlueStack that is on like I don't know if you can do it on a Mac, but on Windows you can download Android apps in that sandbox and play them like a phone, and they just work. And they don't, and those developers don't really even need to do anything in order for them to work. So I'm thinking that all of the legwork is going to be done on Apple's side, so where you just download the app and they like the company doesn't have to worry about, okay, let's make our iOS app run on Mac. It's not a port. I'm pretty sure it's going to be emulation.
Yeah, and I wonder if people are gonna get and then we might talk about expectations versus reality later on. But I wonder if people are gonna have real high expectations of what this means for their Mac, like what you said. We're like, I'll just pull up Snapchat and and it might not be full. You might not have the full capabilities on Mac versus your iPhone, and people might
Mm-hmm.
not like make that connection just because they don't work in mobile testing or have our mindsets when it comes to IT.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be really good reviews of it, and then there might be people like, this is not what I wanted or expected. Go from there.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to wait to see. I think it's interesting. It's a cool concept, and I think it might help them tie further in their whole like ecosystem that people like. That I mean, it is pretty addictive once you get a taste of it. You know, they don't really have a way to do that on Windows PCs with Android phones yet. Like they're trying. Like Microsoft has had like the phone handoff, but like it's not as widespread yet. So like the day that like there is a way to do that on those devices, that's when I would consider probably swapping back. When there is some sort of level of like, okay, I can do clean handoffs.
Yeah, there's really not. I mean, I've had actually, at least for messages wise, I don't mind uh the I mean, it's within Google Chrome, but or whatever browser, doing messages that way has been
And
pretty
like an
convenient.
extension.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
used to do that when I had an Android because that's why I was like, oh, I want a message on my computer, and I did that for a while. But as far as the rest, like it's just like all over. It's like you got to go all out of your way to do like cloud syncing and shit. So
and it's part of the downfall of the fact that, Google Play Store and Microsoft Store is just like, yeah, we accept just about anything. And then Apple Store is like, nah, to a lot.
yeah,
So that's part of the problem being too open is, they have to consolidate. And when they want to do stuff like that, where it's universally within their OS, it's hard as hell. So
yeah. So that's just a sneak peek of like the software side, and there's so much more that I'm not trying to get into. But the biggest news of their WWDC was the announcement of their own chipset. So they're now going to be using ARM. I don't know if people call it ARM or ARM. I've been calling it ARM, but it's the type of processor that
ARM
Apple's
chips.
yeah, they're moving towards, but it's their own silicon. So like they are now going to be moving away from using Intel or AMD, and it's going to be just like Apple chips. And the way that they said it's going to happen is it's going to start this fall, like whenever their next Macs come out, that's going to have it. But the transition is going to take about 2 years because like obviously a lot of software needs to like support it. But like they are hitting the ground running, it sounds like, where like Adobe Creative Cloud is going to support it day one. And then like all of Mac's first party stuff like Logic Pro X, Final Cut Pro, that stuff will support it. But over the 2 year period is when they're basically going to be like, okay, if you're going to code an app for the Mac, it's going to need to run on our software or chips.
I wonder. So two things. It being called ARM chips, they're slowly creeping into cyber technology, man. They're easing your thoughts when it comes to ARM chips, Totally normal. They're talking about chips that go in the computer. No, they're working into those ARM chips. It's going to be in your arm. But second thing, I wonder when they start integrating this slowly, when there's going to be a cutoff where they're like, if you don't have ARM chips in your MacBook or you didn't make the crossover, we don't support it. And then
Yeah.
and then people are gonna be like, huh? Like, I have Apple Care, and they're like, no, it doesn't have the ARM chip in it. And if you want ARM chip, we can put it in there, but it's gonna cost you $1,200.
I mean, like I had that question too because I just bought a Mac that uses Intel and they were having sales on them. But like when I heard that they were going to release a proprietary chipset this coming fall, I was like, "Oh no, like I don't want to buy that immediately because the first year of any new chipset usually is garbage.
It's a
Like you
nightmare.
can't support anything, like it's not worth it." So like I was like, "Okay, I'll just get the Intel." But they did say in the event that they plan to support the Intel for like many years to come. But yeah, like I wonder when that cutoff is going to be. I mean, because look at Keegan, they can't like those applications like Adobe. They're the ones that are going to pull support for Intel because they already have it running on Intel. They would have to completely change their code to run on the ARM chips. So like for
Yeah.
them to just like throw out their main code base, like I don't think they're gonna do that. Now, Apple's first party software maybe, but like people keep Macs for literally like 8 years.
10 years,
Yeah, like
18
I've heard
years.
so many people like, oh yeah, like my Mac lasted forever, kind of deal. Maybe
I
not
mean,
these
mine
ones with the
lasted
butterfly
9 years.
keyboard. 9?
Pretty sure it lasted 9. It lasted 9, but it like really only worked for like 6
And
to
then it
7.
crashed and burned.
Correct.
Yeah, but
It ate itself literally. But but knowing Apple, you know that cutoff's gonna happen. Like, you'd have to be a fool to think that they'll support the Intel chips for 6-7 years. No, I bet it's like maybe 3, maybe 4 years. And because by then they'll have it fully integrated to things, they'll be getting a little bit of leeway, and it'll be a little bit more smoother for their chips. And then somebody's gonna be like, you know what, it's time. Like, we're good. We have it optimized. We have some solid products. People are starting to support it. We're cutting it, and this is it. Because there is a level of risk of maintaining the support for the older chip models if you have a brand new chips that you're trying to sell to the public. Like, so business wise, I bet they pull that plug sooner than later.
yeah, but I don't know if I would say sooner than later. I like there will be some day, but I don't think it can be any time in the next 3 or 4 years. Like we'll see. I mean, I could be wrong, but like I'm just saying like I imagine that like with Intel being literally like the chip, like that is what everything
Yeah,
supports. It would kind of be hard to deprecate the king of chips. You know what I mean? Like especially since their Macs, all of their Macs use it like in 4 years. So like, I don't know. We'll just have to see.
if anybody to do it though is Apple.
Oh yeah,
It's
but
not like
like,
Amazon's gonna be like, we got a chip, and everyone's like, yeah, okay.
but then at that point, then I would have to assess if it will be inconvenient to use the ARM or ARM chip, like because like okay, maybe I'm using an application, but I also use it on Windows. Like if it complicates the transition of things, then I'll probably just go back to a Windows laptop. But like if it's a clean handoff again, like the same way that like I can, I could start editing on the Adobe Creative Cloud on my Mac, and then I could send it over to my computer, my Windows PC, and it'll be fine. Like when you edit and we switched, now we got Gibbs for that, but like when we did that before,
Thanks, Gib.
like I don't know. I'm just saying if it causes complications with that, I'm gonna have issues. But
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I wonder how much their price is gonna go up.
see, I don't know if it will go up or down because, or maybe stay the same. But like they're developing it, they're not paying a premium for it. You know,
Yeah, but it costs money to develop it in time, so they're
initially,
gonna.
like first year, it probably will be more. But like once that transition is complete, I bet you it's like nothing happened.
But here's the thing: is once that transition is gonna be complete, Apple marketing is going to be, this is the best chip in the world. It beats Intel. So therefore, since it's our chip, it's Apple, and what you're buying is a completely Apple product, it's more expensive because it's better quality. That's always been their business model.
Yeah,
Is you pay for the Apple logo because what's inside is quality. Not because it may not have more functionality than the other, it's because it's Apple.
that is
So
fair.
when they enter into that game and they basically eliminate what they're dependent on outside of their company, I would imagine that they up the price of it and then they make more profit because they spend less to produce the product or to buy the chips from Intel, since they're making them in house now. And when I say in house, I mean not in America, obviously. So they're gonna make a lot of money, and the execs are gonna see a marketing campaign that matches a reasonable price hike. But to me, it's gonna be like, damn, dude, they were already expensive. But that's my prediction. They might prove me wrong, just since it is just a chip, but it's an important ass chip, and it's like this big, and it's gonna be, they're gonna charge God knows how much for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's all speculation, and we'll have to see. And
No, we're expert. We're
oh,
total experts.
non-expert speculation. Moving right along,
Apple stock like plummets.
we're
Dark
gonna.
mode. We're on the news. Dark mode predicts.
I don't think that's happening.
We have so
Uh,
much sway in the market. It's unreal.
we're gonna pull up Avengers transition. I'm trying to get to something you're more pumped about, so you could stop being like, "Oh, fuck this, fuck that." um.
I mean, I love talking shit about Apple.
Oh
I
yeah,
respect,
like
I
it is
respect them as a
fun.
company, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to say respect because they do some shitty things, but like they have good business models.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You take it as you want. Um. So Avengers. You're the one that knows all
Avengers
about what's going on and like the
Assemble.
comics and like just
I
go.
like how so you watched the event before, like a little bit before me, and I was watching it. And you were texting me like, "I know you're hyped for this. I know you're so hyped," and like you're pointing out things that like was going on in the big reveal. And I find it funny that like just comic books coming out on screen, you're like, "Yo, I bet you're like nerding out over like the comics they're referencing and shit." And I'm like, I mean, yeah, they referenced some comics. I was pretty hyped, but Maddock. I mean, we knew Maddock was going to be the main villain. They brought up AIM in the last. I mean, let me rephrase that. Marvel fans and comic book nerds knew that, like, with AIM being in the first like story trailers of Avengers, like the AIM soldiers, like that's what they were fighting.
Hmm.
But you correlate AIM to Maddock, which AIM stands for Advanced Idea Mechanics,
Okay.
and Madoc stands for mobile. Mobile organized. No, mobile organism designed only for killing.
Nailed it.
Yeah. Which I can go deeper into that villain here in a bit, but ultimately, I mean, I was already hyped for this game, and I was really disappointed when it got delayed. But then this reveal and further the story actually made me more hyped for it. It did exactly what you should do as a game developer, that had a major delay. It revamped the hype. You revealed just enough where people can sink their teeth into it for like another month until it comes out. I already stood by some of the gameplay mechanics they already showed. I will say one thing. I hope they put like health meters on enemies, or maybe
Bro,
that was
did
just
you watch it? They did.
okay.
They
Okay, okay.
they
I
all
couldn't
right.
remember.
You keep talking, but that's when I was like, I'm sold.
Okay, because I remember I was. Well, here's the thing: is I couldn't remember because I saw so many different things.
Hmm.
But I was remember watching the Thor gameplay thing that they did in the trailer, and it didn't have any of the health meters. So I'm wondering if I just got that confused. But the gameplay mechanics were great. I already was sold on that. I think what they did is they revealed some more information, and that information didn't fail. Like, and we talked about that with Cyberpunk as well. Like, we were already sold on it, and then they even told us more information, and none of that information scared me away from the game. Uh, I was happy that I finally got to see Madoc on the screen, he's an interesting villain. Not my favorite villain, but I'm glad we're moving away from like Thanos. I was gonna be really upset if like this Avengers game came out. I was like, and it's Infinity War, and like we're just
Oh
gonna
my
run it
goodness.
back.
Yeah.
So I'm hyped for that. I hope some more heroes get shown or like more hints of who else is gonna be revealed. Different skins, amazing. The customizations that happen within that like me and you were talking about it. It's like if Destiny's Looter meets
Okay,
Uncharted.
hold on. Let me say this before you ruin it. Not digging on you. I just want to make
Oh,
sure we
sorry.
nail this. It was basically Marvel Ultimate Alliance, the concept, with just a
Yeah,
bunch of heroes fighting and bashing up and leveling up. Then you got Uncharted style gameplay where it's that third person cinematic over the shoulder look. And then like you're gonna have characters that have like guns or like shooting abilities, but a lot of it's melee. And then it has Destiny's like structure of like MMO style, like upgrade loot,
Looter,
like RPG elements.
Quest, yeah.
I'm excited.
It and it looks like they're doing really good on the lore. The voice acting seems pretty solid so far from what I've heard. I mean, obviously they can't get the people that have already played them in the MCU, but like they pick some pretty high quality people that are already pretty well known within that community. I don't know their names, but I know I've heard them before in games. Like I'm pretty sure the guy that voiced Deadpool's in this series.
Yeah, and then
Uh,
Nolan North, I think voices Tony Stark, and he was the voice of Nathan Drake and other bigger thing. Like he replaced Peter Dinklage as the Ghost in Destiny.
yeah.
They redid all of his voice lines, just got rid of them. That's hilarious to me.
But I'm super stoked. I mean, Madoc's a pretty messed up character. I mean, in his name, he's literally just designed to kill people.
Hmm.
Um, I bet a lot of people are really confused if they aren't really familiar with Marvel Comics because he has such a huge head and he's kind of just like this
Dude,
weird.
he is head. Like that's
He,
him.
he's a head with a few arms. But I mean, basically, his backstory is his original name is George Tarleton. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Basically, he's a technician that worked for AIM. AIM did stuff with his genetics, made him mutated into this thing, which he kind of overrid, and he can just control machines. He can control a lot of different electronics, and that's kind of his power. And he's like super, super smart.
So he used to be a human.
Yep, he used to be a technician
Okay.
for AIM, and then they kind of mutated him into this thing. He thinks of himself as a god, and I mean, he's a pretty powerful. He's just really smart and can control machines. So I mean, that's kind of his thing.
Hmm.
He was originally a Captain America villain, later became kind of a Avengers component. Like he was started out Captain America, and then he later got more and more powerful. So he started facing off against the Avengers. Um, Honestly, I was never a huge fan of his series. So I mean, I kind of liked him when he was just featured in a comic series rather than like the main villain. So I'm curious to see how this will go. I mean, he's responsible for a lot of things. Like he was involved in creating Red Hulk, which is another huge villain to Hulk.
Hmm.
So I wonder if they're gonna bring that up. He mutates into more things, and he has like also kind of like psychic abilities. So we'll see if they address that or not. But I hope that they bring in other villains like Doctor Doom, and they kind of build out the world as it is. I hope they don't just focus. My hope is that they don't just focus on such a tight storyline, and they don't just have like limited characters. It will be cool and all, but like if it's the characters we've seen and that's it, I'm gonna be a little disappointed. Like it's such a massive universe that we've seen in the movies and everything, and the comic verse that it'd be a shame if they're like it's AIM, Maddock, and a few lower tier villains that you'll encounter, and then DLCs will come out later. I hope that the story's like a little beefy, maybe 15-hour, gameplay storyline, and then you kind of grind and have DLCs come out and later. That's my hope, and I'm a little worried that it might be not beefy enough in the storyline. So
Yeah. I agree with that. Like, I hope that it's a really complete story, but they did hint at more characters being shown than that were there. Um, the clip that we were just playing there didn't have the full stream where they then later showed the health bars, so maybe that's what you watched. Um,
Yeah.
but like when I was watching the stream, they basically transitioned from that cinematic look to then like, okay, this is like straight up gameplay with the HUD, and it was like you were playing like an MMO where like they had health bars and like loot, or I don't know if loot, but like damage numbers and stuff. Like it was like we saw that and everybody in chat was just like, oh my gosh, like what? Like we didn't realize it was gonna be like that. And then they started
Yeah.
showing like NPCs and like you could buy shit, you could get loot, you could like upgrade your person, you could go different like actual skill trees, like okay, you want this type of ultimate or you want this kind of support move, like, and then like they're talking about how the synergies between co-op, where it's like when we were watching or when we played MUA, right? And it was like, okay, they had little synergies and like, okay, you could choose these characters. Like that didn't matter. I felt like you literally would just like mash buttons and just like try to dodge. And it was just kind of like a beat 'em up, right? This is like, okay, like Tony Stark, he used his like buff ability and everything in that vicinity got like enhanced. Or no, it was Thor that did it. And then all of a sudden, Iron Man, like, he like had like buffed up I don't know, arm cannons, and like it worked better. And I'm like, okay, like you can actually like think and like tackle missions in a certain way where I felt like I couldn't do that in like Marvel Ultimate Alliance or something.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's completely fair. Ultimate Alliance as a comparison is gonna be tough because they had the Ultimate Alliance 3, they had to accommodate a glorified series. Glorified in a good way. Like it's nostalgic for a reason.
mhm.
And they tried implementing new things without tarnishing the gameplay that was already set foot. And I think Ultimate Alliance is supposed to be that game you could pick up with your buddy that you went to college with and your like little brother, you know. So that's kind of why that gameplay is like that. But yeah, I agree that the synergy is a little bit more mature. It's more strategic, and you actually have to think a little bit harder on these missions than just I could have Daredevil, Hawkeye, and whatever, and it would work out. This one, you might fail the mission. You might be like, I need Thor and Iron Man because the electricity in his power suit just goes hand in hand. I'll be all right, and then blah blah blah. But
So
I,
we'll see how that synergy plays out because like what I hope for when they start doing stuff like that, like buffs and like trying to think together as a unit, I want like high level activities similar to like dungeons or raids, like where like you cooperate and like you need to like actually solve puzzles together, because like it's cool if you could do all the synergies like that, but if it's not towards like a goal, like like a challenging goal, I don't really care for it as much. Now I don't need to say that like they need like a Destiny level raid or like a WoW raid, because those are like really intensive. I just want something where it's like, okay, maybe you get like 2 or 3 people together and like you have this boss that you don't just like hit till he's dead. Like you have to like actually go like solve a puzzle while doing it and like figure out, and they don't give you any instruction, because I think that would be really fun. Um,
I hope they look at the success of Spider-Man and the Arkham Asylum games, and they incorporate. So, like, let's say there's a mission on that HUD, that map, right? That you can select which missions you want to do that eventually make the story. Let's say there's a espionage quest. I hope that there's like, okay, required one, like, let's say Black Widow and like Hawkeye are spy like category,
mhm,
and it's like required to have at least two, and then like a certain, like, you're required to have a certain party set up to do the mission,
mhm,
because once you get in the mission, there's certain characters that you have to do individual tasks, like take out 10 enemies silently, or like, don't cause alarms in this first section because of that. If they incorporated that, like, this game is unstoppable, because I, like, that's one of my favorite features of Arkham Asylum. One of my favorite features of Spider-Man is looking at a quest, like securing a some point or whatever,
mhm.
and thinking, okay, I can run a gun, or I could sneak around, fly around, or Black Widow like gymnastics around and choke a kid out. You know what I mean?
Choke a
Like,
kid.
or not a
Whoa.
kid, not a kid. But you know what I mean? Like, choke somebody out instead of like just like go in gun blazing like Destiny style or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
I hope that they incorporate that, because if they do that, then that's just the salt on top and just flavors it so much better than like just like each mission is just you grab 4 dudes, doesn't matter what dudes, and you run in and you hit these boys, and then boom, you're done. Like I
Yeah.
hope they don't. I hope they do that because as much as that'd be fun, it's gonna be the reason why I don't play Destiny anymore. Those don't stick for me. Like they have to challenge me a little bit more. Um, I'm excited for the co-op ability in this because I always thought co-op in Destiny was a little lacking because people are just out doing their own shit. And this one, the abilities seem like they would be. You have to really communicate when you're doing your abilities and stuff like that. Which Destiny is probably you do that, but when I played
It's
online,
not as accessible for the casual player.
yeah, exactly.
So I just had to like spit your words out before you did because I knew what you were going for, but I knew you were gonna get it. So yeah, I
And I just
hope
keep
though.
rambling.
I hope that we can get, like you said, additional characters, but like with it being a Square Enix game, I don't know. Like they might do the transaction route where like you can buy extra stuff. I really hope they don't. But
Yeah, if I mean skins, I get it. If skins means that doesn't change the person's, but like they were talking about how like if it's a looter where your different apparel changes your stats and it's microtransactions are tied to that, that's where I get pissed off. If
I don't
it's
think it
purely
that's. But I'm saying like you can buy a DLC character, like same way
that,
like in,
I don't like it, but I would that's fine with me.
that's what I'm saying. But like I'm saying that most likely will probably happen. Like Mortal Kombat, they had a big old character set, but then you could buy like Shao Kahn and other characters and a DLC. I wouldn't doubt that they would do that here, where it's like, okay, you want to play as like the next set of Avengers, like you want Spider-Man in there. He's a DLC character.
I don't think they're gonna have Spider-Man.
You don't know. They could do some shit like that. Like I'm just saying, like he wouldn't be in the main story, but he could be. Oh, people like Spider-Man. Like, okay, we'll put him in the DLC.
That's my problem. I hope that their main stories like has a diverse enough cast that you uncover or they get involved that
But see, with it being like an open-ended, like online story, like not to the same extent of like a Destiny, but like they could add story DLC. Like they could make a season pass or just like expansion one, and it's like another Avenger story. And here's a new set of Avengers for it. Like they could do all that. They haven't announced that. I don't know if they'll do that, but that's very possible. And I wouldn't mind it, especially if like, all right, I get this game right day one, and I have a lot of fun with it. I would be
yeah.
open to DLC because like, if I could play as new characters in a new story, like let's do it.
I'd buy the season pass.
But it also depends on. I don't like buying season passes at launch because like you don't know. I did that with Borderlands 3 on the PS4 and I regretted it. So I don't want to do that anymore. I'll get the season pass later on. So
yeah, that's true. But like this one, I could see if they made an announcement, and they told me with the season pass, they actually had DLC that added characters and missions and stuff like that. I would almost like play it for a day and then decide. Like I wouldn't wait too long.
Just a day though, because like I feel like you have to know how well they told the main story. But no, listen, you have to know how they told the main story determines how the DLC is going to be usually. But like in Borderlands, that was an edge case because the DLCs turned out to be better than the base game. So a lot of people didn't get the DLC, but then like later on realized they wanted it. So like in your instance, it's good you didn't buy the DLC because you returned the game. So like I wouldn't rush into the DLC.
And I guess I didn't buy the DLC for Ultimate Alliance.
You wanted it, but then you ended up ultimately not buying it.
Yeah. I like Ultimate Alliance, but it was definitely I got my money's worth, but like that's it. Like I don't really need to go back.
Yeah, I'm not playing it anymore. Maybe someday.
It's not challenging.
It's
not challenging enough.
When we just want to grind. All right, moving straight along. Let's talk about a complete game. One game that they're taking their time making, and they've delayed it to to November 19th, and I'm happy. That's the first time I've been happy about a delay, and it's not because they're taking their time, they're doing it right. That's a bonus. It's now freed up September because September was shaping up to be a fat month with
Still
Avengers.
is.
What's it called? I think or Time Loop, Death Time. What is it called?
Deathloop.
Death Loop.
Deathloop.
Okay, that game that's coming out in September. I'm pretty sure. Like, and also if
Crusader Kings 3.
no, get that out of here.
Baldur's Gate 3 comes out in August.
So like we would have a busy fall, but then to have that game be so early in the fall, anything that comes after it would probably be overshadowed. I'd just be like, nah, like I don't want to play anything else. Like, and it wouldn't seem to the same quality because like we're seeing gameplay here, and they're putting so much thought into everything. Like, I don't know. I'm so excited for it.
I mean, I was already excited for it, and then when it got delayed, I was initially disappointed, just because it's just I don't know. It's just within reach, and then to kind of have it pulled again, it kind of hurt at first, but then I realized, oh, I'll be playing Baldur's Gate 3, Madden 21, Crusader Kings 3, Empire of Sin. What else am I going to be playing? All kind of still Warzone, still League of Legends. My backlog,
And
Doom
there's
Eternal,
new games
Star
that
Wars
haven't even
Jedi
been
Fallen
announced.
Order. Steam summer sales going on right now, so I'm going to buy 5 more games.
No, you're not.
It's just going to be, and who knows what else gets announced? Like, we don't know. Like there could be a conference come out in July and they just hit us with it comes out today. And like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how they start doing that shit where they show some lit game. It might be an indie game with co-op or some shit, and then they just drop the mic and be like, it's out tomorrow. And then you're just like, well, fuck, I guess I'm buying that tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'm saying like there's a lot of stuff that you don't know that you're gonna want to buy, and I called you up today when you told me you had your cart full of 4 or 5 games that you
It
didn't
still is.
need.
It's still full.
Clean them out. You only should buy one game that you've missed like this past fall, because you're trying to meet that $30 sale promotion where you get a $5 off. Just buy a $30 game. Don't buy 4 games that add up that you're not gonna play.
Yeah, my cart has 7 games in it right now.
Oh my goodness, dude. You can't do that to yourself.
What it is, I
So
just went down my wish list and was like, "Ooh, yep." I almost like while I'm here, I might as well pre-order Cyberpunk. Like, I mean, might as
no,
well.
just do, if you're gonna pre-order, do the week before, because then like why spend money for something you're not gonna see for 6 more months?
Because then
Well,
it's like I
not
already own
6,
the
but
game. It's it's already out of the budget.
I always pre-order like the week before. But anyway, now I'm showing the gameplay on screen of what they showed us, because the first video I showed was like the trailer, and it looked like a straight out movie. Like
It was so good.
they had it put together so well, the music and the way that like they were telling the story. It was kind of like a heist, but then it ended and they were like, oh, by the way, that's just the prologue. That was just the story trailer for the prologue, not the entire game. And I was like, the scale of this game, like I'm already sold. Like I'm trying to get this immediately.
The decisions you got to make and all the strategic ways you can go about this game just has me to weaken. I I will say I hope that there's an option where you can lone wolf it. I was a little worried with the prologue with having the companions and shit. I might get kind of bogged down with having companions in this game. I normally don't
Did you
like
feel
playing.
that way when you played Outer Worlds?
Yeah, I didn't. Outer Worlds, they luckily kind of stayed out of your way, but like this game, I think that the way they do the decisions and party mechanics, they might have like really intense ways you can go about combat. I normally don't like playing that way, so I hope there's an option where you can go lone wolf. Like have both ways. Like one way where you have, but depending on how they do their story, I don't know. But like let's say Fallout 4, for example. I personally don't like having companions. I rarely pick up companions in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go lone wolf style for like a first person shooter or third person shooter. So, but at the same time, like even if that's not an option, it's not gonna be like I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be like, okay, they didn't do it, but whatever. I'll still play the fuck out of this
Yeah. Yeah, like it doesn't make that big of a deal.
But like that's just me nitpicking, like
Bro,
I
I'm
was
not
like,
even trying to like find the negatives. Like that's what you do after it's launched. Like I don't know. Everything they showed was just like, dude, they're putting so much care into it. Like,
and like Keanu Reeves' character doing that, like appearing out of nowhere and then just going, oh shit. Like
Yeah,
I'm
I
kind
don't
of
know,
pumped.
man.
I can't wait to see where the story goes. And I'm excited to see how decisions shape the way your story ends up. And I'm really excited to see, like, the downfalls of going more cyber versus not, and all these different things you can decide and kind of go about your way you want to play the game is like super exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm just like this. My hype is just through the roof. Like this, they could have like not done anything, and then like November comes around, and be like, oh cool, Cyberpunk's out, bought. Like they didn't. To me, they didn't need to do
Well,
this for me.
this is a series too. Like this is episode 1 of a series. Like I told you in a couple episodes ago, like there's a lot of places doing the series of information. They're doing it as well. So like be
It's smart.
prepared to see more. But
It's smart. I'm telling you what. And if they go, hey, by the way, and then we're hoping by next gen we can get VR going, like that would be a
okay,
nuts.
okay, don't don't get your hopes up for something like that. But this gameplay they're showing here with like this analytical like editor that you can relive other people's experiences. When I'm watching this, I'm like, oh Keegan, like you're gonna like you were already sold, but like this is them whispering in your ear, like just like we wanted to just spoil you. Like you're gonna go from doing the guns ablazing like craziness and the abilities, and then it's gonna be like, okay, now I gotta think, I gotta strategize, I gotta look for stuff. Like you're I don't know. It's just like this is you.
It just goes to show that they want to pay dues to the superior gamers, which are the strategy game players. So they're trying to give back. They realize that we're just better
Boy,
than
if
most.
you don't stop lying, I'm off you with this strategy game superior stuff. It's
No,
nice to have that in there, though. I'm gonna
I'm
enjoy it.
really excited, and it will add some tactics to the game, and I wasn't even worried about that. But then they're like, "Don't worry, Keegan," and I was like, "I wasn't," but okay, keep
Yeah,
reassuring me.
was it? Oh man, but
I and I'm also super excited. One thing I wish they would have held, like it's episode 1, right? They could have like waited a couple episodes to be like, by the way, we're releasing a series on Netflix that's tied to Cyberpunk.
oh yeah, dude, that's crazy. It's
That's
not just a
cool.
series; it's an anime.
Yeah, it's
Do you
cool.
realize how lit the chat got when they said that? They were like, "Oh no, they didn't." What? Like, and then they got like top level like anime character designs and directors to be a part of it. And I
Well,
was
yeah, why
actually
would
well, yeah, but I'm just saying like I was watching Cole Carnage watch the stream and he was talking about how like passionate the developer was talking about. He's like, "Oh, I always love it when developers talk like really passionately about a game because like they're really behind it." But then he goes, on the other hand, when you get an anime like a Japanese artist talking about an anime, the more stoic they are and emotionless, the more you know it's going to be legit. They were literally up there just like straight business, like just no emotion, like we're going to bring you the best thing, like obviously speaking in their native tongue, but they were basically like, we're going to bring you the best game or TV show you've ever seen, like. And then he was like, I'm sold. Like they're just strictly business.
here's my beef with it. 2022.
That's
Oh,
a big whoop. My God.
why is everything tied to Cyberpunk being like, in 5 years you're gonna have a lit game, dude? In 3 years you're gonna have an anime series you're gonna love. Why would you just do that to your fans? It just hurts. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm so hyped for it, and then they're gonna forget about it, and then next year they're gonna release a trailer, and everyone's gonna be like, oh shit, and they're gonna realize that it's only a year away.
Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, it's gonna be interesting. I don't typically watch a lot of anime, but I would watch that. Um I don't know. They're doing so much for this game and it's got me hyped. And we'll just have
I'm
to
gonna
see.
I'm gonna throw a bold prediction, okay?
Okay, I'm listening.
And there's no way this is probably factual or ever will happen. But what if this is Netflix being like, we're gonna do a little tie-in to CD Projekt Red. We're gonna get a little business partnership going on. They scratch our back, we scratch theirs, and then we're gonna dip our toes into more video game stuff. We're gonna do a Halo series. We're gonna do a different series, and then they're like, you know what else we're gonna do? we're gonna get Ninja to sign with Netflix for our brand new streaming service.
I was wondering where you were going with this, but like, dude, if Netflix entered the streaming business, like, I don't know. That would make it so much easier for them to make it accessible because it's like just from the couch. Like Twitch isn't really couch friendly yet. Like you could do it on your PS4 and like other smart things, but it's not the same UI or like or even a friendly UI. Bro, if Netflix, hit us up. Let's do something. Let's do a streaming.
You just hit the microphone chat, and you just hit the microphone on your Fire Stick or whatever, and Alexa's like type in the chat, and then like
like Pepega clap. Yeah.
exactly.
Oh my gosh, dude. If that happens, like they're it's not out of the wheelhouse. Like they could do it.
And then you can, as a streamer, you can do episodic episodes on the net. Like if you're not live, when they go to your thing, you have like episodic of what your streams were.
Yeah, like it fits so well, but I don't know.
I wish I wouldn't have pitched this on air because we could have just like.
Well, we're not huge.
We're gonna cut this out.
So,
we'll cut this out and ship it to Netflix and be like, "Hey, first of all, support us. Start supporting
on Netflix.
First podcast on Netflix. Let's go."
Well, yeah, we'd be video podcast on there, so. Oh no, man. Okay.
Bold predictions.
Okay, Keegan. I've held in for so long.
I just realized we're not even like halfway through what we're supposed to.
We're an hour and a half in, and I'm like so ready to just spill the beans on this game. The Last of Us 2. You can take a little breather.
I gotta stretch a little bit. I've been like talking so much. So give me a little LaCroix.
A little bit of LaCroix. I'm all out over here.
Support us. All right. What'd you think?
All right, let me give a disclaimer. This is a spoiler review. And I am saying that with Keegan not having played the game because of a couple of reasons. First of all, the dude doesn't own a PlayStation and has no way of borrowing one from someone anywhere nearby. He's not going to buy one either because he's going to get the PS5 in November. Maybe. You might not even buy it on launch.
Fuck Sony. All right, what's up?
Whoa, okay. He might not buy it on launch. So it's going to be like over a half a year before you are able to play this game, and I can't keep it in for that long. Like, on the podcast, like, we got to talk about this. That being said, I'm not going to spoil the first game for you, because I think that game is very special, and so you need to play that at some point. And considering you have avoided spoilers for this long, I'm just going to continue to not talk about that.
Is that why Gibbs just left the, like...
I didn't even notice Gibbs out. He doesn't want to hear. All right, fair enough.
Okay.
Gibbs doesn't want spoilers. Well, I mean, I guess I'm editing this week because then he can't edit this part.
Sorry, bud.
I mean, like, all right. So, dude, I've never felt so conflicted about a video game in my life. I finished the game and was just like unsure. I could not think about, or I could think, but I couldn't formulate exactly how I felt. I'm going to go through what I liked first, all right? This game, like, the design of the levels and the graphics were, like, top-notch. Like, it had some pitfalls with the graphics because it is just on a console, so, like, there were limitations. But when you were walking through Seattle, like, you're just seeing a post-apocalyptic world, and you're almost taking it for granted because it's so believable. Like, you see, like, all the cars, like, rusted and, like, vines growing over them, and, like, you can just, like, jump on them and interact with the environment like that. You can, like, go into buildings, and, like, a lot of them are, like, have a full inside and, like, have drawers you can open and stuff, and it's pretty immersive that way. Now, I've never been to Seattle, but I saw Seattle natives talk about this game and say that it's almost pinpoint accurate of the downtown. Somebody said they found the building that they went to for a date, and it was the same window arching and like design. Like they went to that level of it. I was watching a donkey video, and like you see like the Seattle Convention Center or something like that, and then you look to the left, and where the Cheesecake Factory is supposed to be, it was like some like fake company, like restaurant. And then he's like, "Man, this game sucks. It's not even the Cheesecake Factory." But like they put that level of detail in, and I like that a lot. Also, the game is linear, right? And some people were like, okay, like we're moving away from linear games. I don't think this game would have done well if it was just open world, you go where you want, because you're like watching slash playing a story. And for how linear it is, they had so much you could explore inside of that. Like they had a small little open world segment where the Seattle downtown area, and you really only had to go to like 2 parts in there, but you could go to like 12. You could just explore. And some of the best moments in the game, like emotionally and just like character building, are hidden behind stuff you need to find on your own. Like Ellie picking up a guitar and just like playing Take on Me acoustic cover to her girlfriend. Like you could just completely miss that. And like I thought it was really cool that like that's just like hidden in there. You got to go find it. Um the gameplay was improved from the last one. Um they added a dedicated dodge button, which doesn't work, so I'll get to that later. But it like added another layer where like in the first game, like I was just sitting there just like tanking damage, just like I can't move. But like now you can like attempt to dodge. They added prone, so we're now I can like dive into the bushes. Like I don't just like slowly just go in and just like sit down and then like hope I don't get seen. Like I can like scramble away and like dive into the bushes, which was really cool because like you could be about to be seen and then like okay, now I'm safe. Like we'll chill. And there's like a lot of tall foliage and grass like everywhere that you can like hide in and people can come find you in it. So that was really cool. And then tying all of this together is this heart pounding, like just like anxiety inducing soundtrack where like you're like getting just like this adrenaline rush, but like it's not like Doom where you're just like frantic. It's like I'm like shitting my pants. I have no ammo. Who's trying to find me? Like, what do I do? There's so many people. Like, I was like trying to sneak, but then at some point you're gonna reach this point where like you get found out and you just kind of have to roll with it. Like, okay, now I'm running to hide, like I don't have like anything, I gotta reassess the situation. And once you beat the encounter, you're sitting there like soaked in blood, like in mud, and just like shaking. Like your character's even like the screen's kind of going like blurry, and your character's like, oh my gosh, like what the heck did I just do? So like that was pretty cool. Now it takes a turn later, which I'll get to in the cons, but like first half of the game or so, I loved that. Like it was a huge step up from the first game. Now, to contrast that, they also have like those sweet moments that come like in between, which like these flashbacks. So like you get to see the softer sides of characters. They're not just like these heartless killers, but like the pacing of them doing that was distracting, which I'll get to. But I'm going through my notes right here because I took lots.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I have no context.
The attention to detail that I was mentioning before, they took that to the next level with like, let's just start with the rope physics. They spent a ridiculous amount of time just nailing down and coding and meshing with the art style this rope physics where you can get a rope and it can collide with any point of it. You can wrap it around things and like get pulled back when you go too far, and like you can throw it over the top of like poles and it'll like hang, and now you can climb it. Like it's insane. Like I've never seen a game have that level of physics on just like a rope. And the ropes come into play because you can throw them to progress the story, right? But then like, okay, wait, what happens if I throw it over here on this pole and I swing from it and now I get to that ledge that I couldn't reach before? Like there's that level of exploration, which I thought was pretty cool. But like I was reading up like a dev talk about it. He's like, dude, this was like probably the most painful thing I had to code. Like it was so difficult. And I'm like, I can imagine. And some people are just like taking it for granted. Um Another detail, one of the characters that you play as, she has a fear of heights, right? So when you walk to the edge of something, like get close to it, you know that depth of field effect where stuff stretches? That
Yeah.
happens. And she starts shaking. And she's
Oh shit.
like it's nuts. Like, and it would happen even in the parts that aren't story related. So like I'm just like on a like a fire escape, right? And I look down and she starts shaking. And I'm like, whoa, like that's kind of crazy. Like they went into that detail with it.
That's cool.
Um, and then like the expressions of the characters is just like next level. Like it's just like straight up acting. And like they're using the motion capture and stuff, but like it is pretty crazy the way they did that. Anything else? Oh yeah. They added a couple new enemies. Now, with it being set in the same world only a couple years later, it was like difficult for them to put in like a ton of new enemies without ruining the story. Like, where were these in the beginning of the apocalypse kind of thing? But what they did is they kind of just like morphed what they had. So, like in this game, you have like runners, just basic zombies that can see and just attack you. They have clickers that are blind, but they use echolocation from these clicky noises to find you, and they kill you just like instantly if you don't like combat them, like counter them. Like you can't like fist fight them.
Oh.
Then you got a step further where they're called bloaters, and these dudes have been infected for a long time, and they just like charge at you. They like beat you up. They like throw pus at you. It's nuts. But what they
Ew.
did,
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
god.
it's nuts. But
I don't. I wish I never heard that sentence. They beat you up. They throw pus at you.
now they have two new ones though. The one of them I don't really know where this one was at. This is the one where it's kind of like I don't know where this fits, or maybe even I might be forgetting it from the first game. I don't think so because like these things scare the shit out of me. They have
Okay.
these ones called stalkers that don't fight you on sight. They run and hide and then jump out at you. Now, of course, they only come out when it's freaking dark, right?
Well, yeah.
So like I'm shitting my pants, but like I just found out that like all I need to do is just like beeline it at them, and then like they kind of hesitate. So then I was just like, all right, shotgun to the face, like you're done. Like otherwise, I was literally around every corner, just like what? Yeah, oh shit, like I was scared, dude. Um,
So basically, so far this game is shit your pants level.
oh yeah, like it's anxiety inducing, and they did a good job of making you feel like in an apocalyptic scenario at a disadvantage. So that's cool.
That's
But
all.
then they added a new enemy that I at first thought was like a kamikaze. That like every game has that character. They run at you, they explode, and you got to just avoid them. No, this thing is a cross between a clicker and a bloater, and it like took a path in between, and it
So
like
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but just the enemy names just getting me. Sorry.
yeah,
But
right. They like run at you and they explode spores at you that like burns you, but then they just stay like they're not dead, like they can do it again. So like you have to like run, keep your distance, and like keep fighting them, and they just keep charging at you. It's nuts. And then the last one that they added, they had like a Resident Evil level like boss. The first game doesn't have any boss battles. It just has like difficult encounters. I think they realized that was missing, and they added like a tough ass boss battle. Like you go to an area that hasn't been explored since the outbreak. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, there's going to be a big boy down here." And like he comes out and it's like straight up like three enemy types morphed into one, like a Resident Evil mega zombie kind of thing, and it's like out to just murder you. And you have like this tight little area that you can like squeeze through things and like try narrowly escape, but then he'll just bust through the wall. So you have to like keep spatial awareness of where you are, because if you get trapped in a corner, there's no escape. Like he just kills you. Like you have to like think about what you're doing as you're frantically running, like no breathing. It's nuts. And I was sitting there like at first I was getting upset at the game because some of the difficulty, like I played it on hard, but then they have this way you can customize it where you can change like the health of the enemies, or like how much resources you can find, or like other
Right.
little variables. So like, you know how you always complain about video games having difficulty, just be like, okay, here, just add more enemies or whatever. Like when we were playing
Add more
Halo,
health.
this game allows you to change it individually. So I put everything to survival, which was the hardest, except for resources, because resources were already so scarce that I was too scared to go on survival because I'm like, dude, I'm never gonna find anything.
Right.
So anyway, I'm playing it on survival difficulty almost. And I'm running around like I die in one hit. Like, what do I do? I'm just like frantically searching. It took me like 6 or 7 tries, but I finally nailed it. But the character or enemy design was pretty nice. I thought that was cool. Now, this is the controversial section of the game. You
Whenever we get
already,
into, can we just hold on?
yeah.
Like the fact that like you have any like the fact that you're still conflicted after that hefty amount of pros is making me nervous for what you're about to say, because like all week you're like, yo, this game's so controversial, I'm so conflicted, dude, like there's so many political things and like, dude, the people hate on it, and I'm like, but like you're still playing it, like you're finishing the game, and like what I've seen, it looks dope, so I'm like really curious to see what's negative about this game.
Yeah. And that's a good point. Like I still was playing it. And I don't think there was ever a circumstance where I wouldn't finish this game because I had to know what happened. Because I was so emotionally attached to the first game that I wanted to see what happened in the second one. And like for whatever it was. But did you notice how nothing I mentioned was pros about the story?
That's yeah, that's also very true. You're like, yeah, the combat's dope. I'm on anxiety. They have like good touches, and it's like I'm like, so like, did you like the game? Did you like the outcome?
So here's where I'm at. The story could have been so much better, but ultimately it was ruined by its delivery and pacing. It was horrible. Like I was so disappointed. But let me give you a little backstory. So another reason why I'm spoiling this game for you is because it's almost a social experiment for me, because the leaks happened and they were pretty accurate, and then people still played it and then they formulated their own opinion. So like I'm basically going to leak this game to you with your approval. You told me you don't mind.
All
Yeah.
right, yeah,
And then you're going to play this at some point later down the line after playing the first one unspoiled, and then I want to see what you think. So
fair, okay.
there's certain details that I'm going to have to be kind of vague about so they don't spoil the first game. But the controversy stemmed between like Naughty Dog, a lot of like upper management left, and like people thought that they leaked the game because they didn't like what was happening. But it was determined that a third party leaked the game. And I don't know how that person like found out about what the game was about, because they basically wanted to leak it because they thought it was like bad. I'm pretty sure like it was almost like a whistleblow, like, yo, like this game isn't gonna be what you think it is. And from the day they announced the trailer, like E3, just a teaser, like it was just Ellie's revenge story. You see Joel come up to her like, hey, how you doing, kiddo? And she's like, I'm gonna kill every single last one of them. And you're like, who wronged her? What happened? Right? Then the
Yeah.
trailer for the game comes out more recent, and again, they make it seem like something's gonna happen to her, and maybe it's her girlfriend, maybe it's another family member, or well, I guess she doesn't have like blood family in the game. She has just like people that are close to her, and like Joel's
Right.
gonna go on this journey with her to help her get revenge. Bro, they killed Joel in the first 2 hours of the game, and I wasn't surprised, right? I was like, I expected Joel to be killed in this game. But how are you about to put a fake, fully fake, like story altering scene in the trailer where he's like, you think I'm going to let you do this alone? And then you just kill him and then sub in another character there. This
Oh, they didn't even
They
like
subbed another character in his spot. This isn't Avengers level where in the story or the trailers, they just put extraneous characters in just so it doesn't ruin what's actually happening there. They straight up lied. Like, this is what's happening in this scene. No, they replaced the character. Joel's already dead.
So then who's she getting? Okay. Okay, hold
So
on. Hold on. So you're telling me she's telling her dad she wants to get
no, no,
revenge.
no. She doesn't have a father. Like Joel is
Or
her father figure.
right, she's telling him in the trailer, I want to get revenge. He's like, yeah, I'll help you.
Oh, yeah. The very original trailer, he comes up and then
But
asks what's going on.
now it's like the actual revenge is just her getting it on her for her quote unquote father
Yeah,
figure.
yeah. So we're already not
That's
feeling great, right?
yeah,
I am
okay.
not bothered yet. I'm kind of like, okay, so Joel is the reason why we're going on a freaking rampage. But then I literally am like, wait, why is he in the trailer saying, you think I'm gonna let you do this alone? And then like I found out that was just a lie and it was like a fake scene. And I was like, I don't think you can do that much of a fake scene where you literally change and alter the course of the story that you're selling us. Like you just did a full spin zone to the fans in like a very like cheap way.
Now here's what they should have done. I agree that they're in a tough the game creator is in a tough spot. Okay?
Wait,
He
hold
wants
on,
to deliver
Keegan. What
okay.
I'm gonna say next, I'm sorry to cut you off, is going to alter what you're going to say now. Because there's more levels to the bullshit that happens in this game.
Okay.
So I want to catch your opinion at the end. You can tell
Okay.
me if what I'm gonna say alters it after I'm done saying it, but like, this is the
Okay.
biggest bombshell. This chick that kills Joel, I can't reveal her motives. She kills Joel, like, and Ellie witnesses it. She's basically like, dude, you're done. Like, you're ended. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna kill you. And then it's unbeknownst to me why her and her groups doesn't just kill her right there. Like, story over. But like, they don't. Now she's going off to get revenge. You get to Seattle, where her group of the chick that killed you or killed Joel is, right? You play 3 days in Seattle and you're like, you're getting closer. You're getting closer to Abby, the chick that killed Joel. You're like, oh, I'm close. You meet her and then they cut and now you start playing as Abby 3 days ago. So you played half the game with Ellie. It's probably been about like 12 hours, the length of the first game. And now they're like, oh, haha, now you're playing as Abby. And I thought it was just like a side thing because you had already played as Abby for like a small section in the beginning, like just so you can introduce her. But now I look at my weapon wheel and my skill trees and I'm reset. And I'm like, you motherfuckers. Like, we started over. And now I have to play half the game with Ellie. Or, excuse me, Abby. And at first I was just like, why would you do this? Like, this is just like I was so confused. And then the motives were revealed. So essentially, you're on Team Ellie from the start because of what happens in the first game. Team Ellie and Joel. Joel got wronged, Ellie got wronged. You want revenge for her. You don't care what happens. You're kind of on her side. And you kind of see through the course of the her half that she's going kind of ballistic. And you're kind of like, Ellie, like, who are you? Like, what's going on? Right?
Okay.
You're all like against Abby. When you play as Abby, you're supposed to see her personal side, how she's not a heartless killer usually. She's just like Ellie. She's like almost parallel to him where like you want to get justice for what Joel did, so she kills him, but now now Ellie wants to get justice for Abby killing Joel. So like you're like, okay, now whose side am I on? That's basically what they wanted to show. Like, and what revenge does to people, like, and how it like deteriorates their relationships. So now when you play as Abby, you get all the way to Ellie where you just met her and you get to see like the intertwines of it. That's the cool part. Like, you know how movies like to do that, like Christopher Nolan, he'll show like non-linear stories and they mix. I love that. Not for a video game. Doesn't work. Especially when you expected to play as the one person through the whole thing. But this is also where we start having more issues. When you meet Ellie again, they still make you play as Abby. So now I'm fucking fighting Ellie as Abby when I want her to kill Abby. So I'm sitting here like, what is this? Am I actually about to kill Ellie? And like, it was a weird dynamic. And then shit goes down there, and like, I don't know, but like, what you were gonna say before? Let me get your input now, because what I just told you might have altered the whole like Joel being killed thing.
Okay. I'm still in support of the game creators. I think ultimately it was a failed risk. I think it here's the thing. If they would have told the story right, or if they would have promoted it better, let me start with the promotions, because that opinion hasn't changed since you told me the bombshell.
Okay.
The way they should have gone about it, sequel already has hype. Everyone loves the first one, right? You don't have to do too much in that teaser. You could have had Ellie sharpening some bows or some shit. He comes in the background. He's like, "You ready to go, kid?" And then that's it.
Yeah.
Cut. That teaser's done. Next one, a little bit of co-op. Maybe they're hunting a deer or some shit. Little bit of gameplay HUD. Couple enemies come in. They kill them together. That's your gameplay teaser. That's it. Could have been simple as that for their promotions. And maybe people wanted more, but they said, nah, it'll reveal too much. People would have understood. Let me get that straight. And I think that would have solved a lot of their fans being misled bullshit. And people had the same problem in Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. So I get it. They could have gone about a different way. And for the game developer to be like, we had to do something. It's like, well, yeah, you could have done way less.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. The story and narrative, I think, could have been mind-blowing to you. It could have been that Christopher Nolan non-linear bullshit, holy shit perspective, holy shit revenge is fucked up. This game is mind-blowing in the behavioral aspect of a video game. Oh my god, it's next level.
Mm-hmm.
They just missed the shot.
That's a good way to put it.
They took the risk, and here's the thing: you're either in or you're out.
Oh yeah, and some people are full in; they love it.
Well, that, or as a game developer, when you do something this risky and this like crazy of a narrative, and like never before done, where you are the antagonist fighting the fucking protagonist at the end, you either go full in to support it or you don't. And then if you don't, if you're half in, half out, and you're like just kind of trying this big different narrative style and movie-esque exclusive follow up to the first renowned, not like awarded prestigious game, then if they were this half in trying different things, it would have even failed harder, in my opinion. At least they committed to the latter half, and then the the conclusion of the game.
I haven't even told you the conclusion yet, dude. There's so much more.
Oh,
but
fuck.
yeah,
Okay.
keep going.
But that's my, like, as you were explaining that, I was like, oh, that's kind of a mistake, but I could have seen how it gone better. Oh, that sucks that's how you viewed it, and that's how a lot of people viewed it. They could have done it better.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played it yet, and honestly, I'm not a fan of when you do that switch. I want to play as a character that I like. Don't build up all these emotions if I'm just gonna have to restart. That to me is dumb. But I haven't seen it work yet for me. I'm curious. Like, maybe this could have been the game. Maybe it would have worked. I don't know, but somebody has to make those risks, right? Because if you're a game developer, you don't normally want to make these risks. You don't normally want to, like, oh, this is gonna piss off the fans if it fails. Better try it out. Most of the time, you're going to be a game developer's like, yo, the fans are going to eat this shit up. Like, we're going to have fully customizable, no microtransactions, eat it up, like all that shit, right? So,
and you know what Neil Druckmann straight up said? He's like about to release the game, and he, before it even got leaked, I'm pretty sure, it was like, this game is going to be controversial. Like, he just like wanted it to be. So like he got it. Like, some people like it and some people hate it. It's really polarizing amongst the fans.
And I like that. Like, I want more game developers like that, because without them, we just keep having Smash. Like, I don't remember if you remember like early the 360 PS3 days, but a lot of those games were cookie cutter, just beat 'em ups, bullshit games. That for a while there we were in a rut, and game developers like that take those risks. This is why we're at the point where we're at, where we could have games like The Last of Us that are these super narrative, heavy based,
Okay.
survival games, and you have Disco Elysium indie dudes that are making bold gameplay choices, and it's why we're at where we're at. And it just sucks that like it's so polarizing and that it didn't quite hit the way that they wanted it to. And maybe they're really proud of the game, like maybe, and I think he does fully support this game and he should. um but my biggest thing so far, and I know you're about to tell me the ending, is the fans played the full game. If you're a game developer, that should be the goal. And if they hit the goal, great. And if they didn't like it, learn from it and apply it to your next game. But at least they finished the game. The gameplay wasn't annoying enough to be like, fuck
Well,
this. I don't give a shit
there
how
are
the end.
some cons to that. Like
Okay.
I agree. Like, yeah, they got the fans to play the whole game. And I think that's a testament to like maybe they thought they could save it because Naughty Dog made such an excellent first game. They had such a good track record running, and they've made stuff like Uncharted 4. Like they've made great video games, right? So like
Yeah.
people are like, I need to finish it, especially since if you don't like it, you can't bash on it if you didn't finish it. You know what I mean? Like it's like you gotta give it the full chance. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. But like the delivery, like you said, you're not a big fan of the character switch. Like for instance, Metal Gear Solid 2, Solid Snake is the main character in Metal Gear. Everybody's expected to play that game when it comes out as Solid Snake. All the promotions, Solid Snake, Solid Snake. They showed all that gameplay. Solid Snake is the first mission. Like that's who you play as. Ellie is the only character they showed playable in the game, like all the trailers. They made it look like this game was like 30 hours of Ellie. It's not. So then, like in that Metal Gear game, after the first mission, Snake looks like he dies, and now you play as this other character that you don't know who the hell it is. You're like, who is this dude? And then he like you unravel more of the story. Snake's not dead. He comes back into the story, but he's on your side. That's the difference. It's not like they forced you. They're basically forcing you to be like, okay, like I know y'all like Ellie, but like this is who really should win. Force you to play as them the whole time, and then now let's say Snake comes back, and then now Raiden's supposed to kill him or something.
You know what they should have done? Ending the fight or whatever, and you haven't told me the conclusion, but do they make you choose, or do you have?
That's what should happen. You don't get to choose. It's literally you just playing Neil Druckmann's vision, which is like, okay, yeah, that's great and all, but like you just set the fans up for this big expectation and then just balled it up and threw it in the garbage and set it on fire. Like not even in a kind way. Like, oh, like I know you guys might think this is the way that it's gonna go. It's just like that isn't what should happen. So
I can see the vision of revenge is supposed to be disgusting, and that you should be disgusted by the ending of this game.
but here's the problem. So let me tell you what happens in the game before I tell you how it should be fixed and the additional problems with it. This game, you're fighting Ellie as Abby, the person that you wanted to kill, and Ellie is like suddenly like super hard to fight. Like
That's like all
I was like, Abby was the one that was beating the shit out of her earlier, but now that I'm Abby, I'm getting shit beat out of me as Ellie. You know what's funny? My dad did this too, because earlier in the game, but as Abby, I just let her kill me. I was like, oh, she got the revenge, game over. We're good. Let's go home. But like you don't get anything for that. Like you actually are supposed to fight her. So you skirmish, right? And then like it's basically a stalemate because during Abby's story, this young girl or boy and girl saves your life, and they're on the opposing side because these two warring factions in Seattle, the WLF and the Seraphites, they've been fighting. Two Seraphites save your life, so it's like the Good Samaritan. Now they're in trouble, and then Abby goes back to save them and then betrays her group, right? So now you're like, oh, like she has a kind, like she cares for these kids, like you're supposed to be with them. When she's about to end the life of one of Ellie's best friends, the girl that's or the guy that saves her life, the kid is like, Abby, don't. Like she's like disgusted with her. And then she like hesitates and then just like leaves. She's like, if I ever see you again, like you're done. Like I don't want to ever see you again. So then from that point, it's a stalemate. Like, okay, nobody got revenge. Like we're good. We're done. You get to see a resolution. Now they're all happy. They're living at a farm in the middle of nowhere. It's her, Dina, and a baby. Because I guess I forgot to mention Dina's pregnant at some point in the movie. That's not, or movie, the game. That's not like a huge, like crazy twist. I don't know. I don't know. It made sense.
Okay.
There's a baby. So they're living there. Everything's good. Joel's brother, he comes and like guilt trips you into like, why are you done? Like you didn't finish it. You promised me. And like she's having like PTSD when she's just like doing simple things like herding the sheep into the barn and like something falls and she's like having flashbacks to Joel getting killed. So she's like wrecked, right? She's not sleeping. That guilt now gets to her. She now abandons her girlfriend and the kid. She had like a great life, right? Dina comes down and is like, what are you doing? Like she's like, I gotta finish it. She's like, no, you don't. Like, we're good. She's like, I can't sleep. I can't eat. Like, I can't do anything. I need to finish this. So now she abandons them and goes all the way to find her at her next lead location where Abby said she was going, which is in Santa Barbara, California. You now go on another murder tangent trying to get to her, and she's been captured at this settlement. You then free her. She's about to escape, and then she's like, Ellie goes, I can't just let you leave. And then she's like, fight me. And then Abby's like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, let's just leave. And then Ellie's like, no, like, fight me. And then now it's this scripted ass fist fight, which I hate that shit. I hate it when it's just like mash the punch button and then dodge when they swing. That's not fun. Because that's what the final fight is. It's just like avoid her attacks, beat up. Like, it's dumb. Ellie has her to the point where she's about to drown her underwater. This is where the choice should come in. Do you kill her after seeing who she is? After she has not forgiven, but has gotten over it, and Ellie is still traumatized. Do you do it? Because as a player, everybody's polarized. They have their own opinions. Let them make that choice. Ellie just stops. Sits up. She's like, get out of here. Then she leaves. And then Ellie goes back home to the farm. And Dina and the baby are nowhere to be found. They moved out. Like she's lost them. So like, yes, the moral of the story is like, when revenge becomes your only motive, you lose everything. But you just tried to make me feel bad for going on an unavoidable murder spree through this entire game. Like literally unavoidable. You are forced to do it. And even the encounters are shaped so where stealth doesn't even fucking work half the time because there's so many enemies. They'll see you. You got to kill them. So you just made me go on a whole murder spree to make me feel like, oh, what I'm doing is bad, but you didn't give me the choice to do it at the end.
Okay. Gibbs, you can come back in. There's no more spoilers. I'm giving my conclusion here.
I don't know, Gibbs. You might want to stay out a little bit longer.
I'm done trying to defend the game developers now. Like, here's the thing. Games becoming more narrative based and heavy, like almost movies. Great.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is sometimes developers and game developers shouldn't be in charge of writing stories. Sometimes they just
Neil Druckmann was I'm pretty sure the one that had the vision. He's just like the creative director.
I know, but I'm just saying that like sometimes, like let's say you were pitching this as to become a movie.
Mm-hmm.
That should have been cut. It'd be like, yeah, you already sold the point, dude. You already
that whole scene after she's at the farm is just extraneous. Get rid of it. It has no place.
My thing is you're at that point you're being emotionally abusive to your audience.
They're just teasing.
You're dragging them through it. You're selling your point. It's you're selling your point too far, and you're trying to put a loop inside of a loop, and then what you want them to have the perspective from Abby's side, and then resolve it. But then, oh, I want Ellie's side. Well, if you want Ellie's side, then don't even tease us. Give us some like cinematic thing that like tells us her story, so we have some sort of tie and get her side,
Mm-hmm.
and then bring us back.
That's what I thought. We don't even need to play as Ellie or Abby to understand her point. Maybe that wasn't as effective in his mind. So, like, I guess playing as Abby isn't as problematic as I might be letting on. But let me say this. When I was playing as Abby, I didn't feel like I was playing The Last of Us anymore. It lost all charm that it had in the first half with Ellie. It lost all feeling that it might have related to the first game. I felt like I was just playing a new game in the same engine.
Yeah, and you as as a game creator, you have to ask yourself, what is my end goal? And if doing those different perspectives and emotions, and you know, causing these emotional reactions and the decisions being made in the game, if they don't lead to a conclusion that has an ultimately decision to be based on your audience member, what's the point of making them have these ties to them if you aren't going to make them utilize those emotions within the game?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you're just making them sit sideline and have an anxiety attack as they have to drown some girl that they don't want to, and they don't want to be at the end of this game. So that's where I'm just on a roller coaster of trying to defend, not defend, and now
I
I'm
mean,
just
you're playing both sides, and I like it because it's giving me insight to like what I might be biased about. But like I said, I couldn't get my words out first when I first finished the game. But Cole Carnage, like I watched his opinion on it, and like he started taking the words out of my mouth. Like I was finishing his sentences as he was starting to say them. I was like, dude, like this is exactly like what I felt, and like that's kind of what I laid out here. It's got some pretty solid gameplay, but the story ruins it. It's not delivered well, and the pacing is garbage. So like it could have been so much better, but it's distracting. Like, not even just with you playing as Abby, but when you're playing in between each day in the city of Seattle, you have to play like a flashback. It's not a cutscene, you play it. And it's like, okay, I just got done just like stuffing some dude's face in, and now you want me to like cuddle up with someone? Like, what is this? Like, this transition is like distracting. It's not really working. And then also the whole like unavoidable killing sequences where like they're trying to show the bad side of Ellie, and it worked. Like there's one scene in particular where you're gonna kill one of Abby's like friends, and you see it from her point of view, but you're controlling Ellie.
yeah, and it just it tells me as somebody like on the outside, it tells me that the game creator is not confident enough in the writing. If he's constantly needing to make these jumps and constantly needing to literally make you do things like this, it
Mm-hmm.
means he's not confident in the writing of the story. And it sucks because if he was just a little bit more confident in it, he might not have needed to make these drastic gameplay differences. And maybe the game would have been a little bit more cohesive because they did rely on that writing, and they trusted that their audience is, smart enough to grab those emotions and those ties just based on the writing alone. Um, but now I need to know, I need to fully experience it, even though I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. But to kind of answer your question that you were asking me today, like, hey, if I spoil this, are you still going to want to play it? I still want to play the series. I'm actually more curious
Oh,
than I
dude, well,
was
I didn't even ruin the first game. Like, you still have no idea what happens in it. And
right.
that's
And
the beauty of it. Like, and also I think a flaw of it. This second game, like, didn't add anything.
can I say one more thing? So I will say I'm kind of glad this one was so polarizing, because I don't think I would have been happy if this was another like Uncharted 4 scenario where there's like 5 games in the series. Like, I want more games that are like 1-2 punches and then they move to some new IP. I
Hmm.
don't want 10 Nathan Drake games.
That's
And I
fair.
haven't played those, but from my perspective, I don't even want like 5 Avengers movies. I want different things. That's my same perspective on video games. I want them to take bigger leaps and bounds into different areas. I want a freaking Superman video game. I don't want another Batman. Well, I do want another Batman game, but I want, new things. So it them taking this bold conclusion and bold, wrap up, they might just be like, all right, now we can create some brand new IP, and you guys will have to go check it out.
Keegan, I got some news though. So with her obviously not dying and escaping, she wasn't like trying to find some new lead. Neil Druckmann has said that he is trying to determine whether his next game will be The Last of Us 3 or a new IP. And I think after this game, everybody's gonna be like, new IP, please. Like, don't keep doing this. So we'll see. They could. He also expressed interest in if he did another or Last of Us 3, it might follow all new characters. So I don't know. But before we wrap up, okay, I want to just go through the other things that were cons for me that aren't story related.
That was one con.
That was one con, the garbage storytelling. So,
okay.
This game, this game is brutal, right? Like, you've seen a little bit of gameplay. It's really violent. This game is super dark. Like, I literally couldn't see anything. Like, dude, you spend half the time in dark ass areas, like in buildings, with just your little flashlight. Like, in Pokemon, before you get Flash as an ability and you could see just like a centimeter around you, that's what I felt like. So like, it's supposed to add to the spookiness, but also like there's this weird effect where like if you like look at a certain area that's like lighter and then you look down at the darkness, like it like does like a refocusing. So it's like intentionally supposed to be super dark. And I even knocked my brightness up to like higher than it's supposed to, and it still was kind of bothersome. So it was giving me a headache too, because like,
well, you're grinding up 3 a.m. You're trying
to, yeah, but like there's motion blur, there's film grain on top of it that you cannot turn off. You can turn off the motion blur, you cannot turn off the film grain, which is dumb because the game looks beautiful without it. Don't know why they have a non-toggleable film grain. And then you have this bright ass flashlight in a dark background that you're just like whipping around. And it's like, this is like going to give me a seizure. Like, I didn't appreciate that. Then, you know how I said the gameplay felt nice? Like it was an upgrade. It wasn't, the game didn't feel as modern as when it came out. Because they spent so long making this game, it feels like Last of Us 1 got finished. Then they immediately started making Last of Us 2 and the mechanics of it, and then didn't update them. The mechanics didn't change. Like, you still have the same weapon wheel where like you can only grab like one weapon at a time and you upgrade them later. And like, that's not a big deal because like that's supposed to like play into the survival element. But like, it felt still pretty clunky at times. Like there was times where I was trying to vault over something and my character's just like not doing anything, or like I'm trying to dodge and the dodge button literally does not work half the time. Like they teach you like, okay, yeah, you're supposed to dodge, but it's not like Dark Souls or something where you have to time it perfectly. Like you literally can spam it. Like I've tried this. You can spam it and it'll dodge at the right time. But then there was times where I was pressing it like that or pointedly and I would still get smacked by a zombie or like punched by someone. And I'm like, dude, I literally press dodge when I'm supposed to. Relax. Like, why am I taking damage? I would die so many times just because they wouldn't let me dodge or like vault over something or like jump backwards. Like it was weird. And then that carried over into like, you can interact with the environment, like the doors or pick up items or open drawers with triangle, right? But the actionable area for it is way too like convoluted. Like I would press triangle to pick up some loot on the ground and she would like magnet over to open the door. And I'm like, no, that I'm not even looking. And then there was times where like, it'll show me like, oh, this can be selected with a little circle and triangle. But then like I would go stand on it and it would disappear. And I had to like walk away and then back up to then reselect it. Like for them having spent this a long amount of time, delayed it twice, and said they were putting all this work into it, it felt kind of like buggy that way.
It's probably
Like,
just the rope.
huh?
All
Just a
that
trope?
delay, it's just the rope.
Oh, the rope. Yeah, yeah. They put too much time into the rope detail, but not enough on the rest of the game. But what else? So that scripted cutscene that I told you at the end, there's a handful of those in the game, and they really just took away from the experience. Like I hated it because like you'll be like doing the whole like fight for your life stuff, but then it's like okay, now I'm locked into this one person, and it's just like I have to like get lucky with if they're gonna let me dodge. So I don't know. But then the last thing that I really did not like, and I feel like with all the attention to detail, they really failed on this front. In the first game, when you're with Ellie as Joel, you can both hide behind cover. Like, you can, like, I don't know, almost like hug around her in the cover. So, like, if she's in the way, I just, like, go around her. Like, you would, like, move around. In this game, if an NPC touches you, they boot you out of the way. I was so upset because there was times where I was behind cover and knocks me out into the way and I get seen. I was like, bro, are you kidding me? What happened to the layered cover or like just like normal AI? Like it was so stupid. So I got really upset about that, but they took that out.
It should
And
be reverse. It should be you can knock NPCs out of cover.
you can
Oh,
collide with them. Like you can run into them and they'll kind of like jump out of the way sometimes, but then they can do it to you. So it's like, why would you ever push me out of cover? I'm the main character here. I'm trying not to die. They can run and pritz around all like unseen, like running right in front of someone. But then the second I get bumped out, like and my toe is out, you hear the sound like chom, you've been seen. Like, oh, it was so stupid. But yeah.
whew.
Big review of that game. I had some thoughts I had to spill. I can't wait till you play the first game. I honestly cannot, because
Neither. I'll go let's play.
you're gonna like it. And the funny thing is, I said I was gonna put a let's play up of this game. I don't want to do that anymore because there are times in it where like I'm genuinely bored and not being entertaining. Oh, that's the other point I was gonna make. Yeah, because the first game is about like 12 hours long, let's say.
Yeah.
Let's say this game is now like 20 to 30 depending on like how much you explore. It genuinely feels like they took the 12-hour game and then they stretched it across the 30 hours and they just placed it in. It doesn't feel like they put enough content in that was meaningful. It felt like they tried to do too much, but they stretched the game too thin.
Yeah. I hate when that happens.
Yeah. So I'm not releasing the Let's Play because it's not entertaining to watch. But you should play the game.
Gibbs, come back in. We're done.
We're done.
And we're going to be wrapping this shit up. He'll be putting that little subscribe button thing. Do the thing. Support us.
Do the thing. Yeah. We appreciate all the time. I mean, thanks for listening. I don't know if you have played the game and you listen to all that, let me know your thoughts. If you agree, you disagree. I'm not to the point where like I won't hear people who liked it because I want to know like what they liked about it. I'm on the side that doesn't like the game, like the story. So
come to our Discord. We could chat about it in the general chat. We'll do a little forum action in there. But if you're a fan of the show, like, subscribe. That always helps us. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully by then, I don't know when our end goal of that is, but hopefully soon.
Just when it happens.
Just when it happens. But if you have any friends that are video game advocates or IT people or just into tech or just like podcasts, send them our way. Keep listening, keep supporting us. We appreciate it. And please give us feedback if you have any.
For sure. All right, guys. We'll catch you in the next one.
Later, guys.